and Bani Somaddar. Please come to the stage, and we're going to start right now. Bani. Okay. Now, I would like to request Sadia Khalid to present her keynote paper. Sadia Khalid.
Hi, Hannah. How are you? And hi, everyone.
Hello.
A very good morning to you. A very good evening to you. So the topic I've chosen is something very new, and a lot of us haven't explored so far. And I don't claim to be an expert. I just thought that we need to get acquainted with these new concepts. So here goes. So the name of my article is Women in VR is Another Train Living Without Us. So I used the metaphor of a train, imagining that, say, virtual reality is a train, and it's filled with, the compartments are filled with men, and there is very little space for women, and there are very few women on that train. And most of the women who would like to get on board, they are still at the platform with all their baggages. And they're still waiting for the situation to be more favorable, and they don't really want to be the odd one out inside of that. But now the train is picking up pace, and it's leaving the platform without the women. So we don't want that to happen. We do want to be on that train because it's a booming industry, and it will pick up pace even more, especially after the pandemic. So we need to get acquainted to this new reality. Okay, so why am I talking about VR? Because I've already said I'm not an expert. So the thing is, a very few percentage of people have experienced VR at all. Like I've put in statistics over here that even in UK and US, the percentage of women who have even experienced VR is only 16%. And that's in UK and US. UK is the biggest market for VR. So you can imagine what that percentage is here. But I had the good fortune of experiencing it. Back when I was in LA, studying in UCLA, I was studying screenwriting. And for one Halloween, we went to this industry meeting. They have industry meets every night in LA. And there was this one for Halloween, and there was a big line to experience that VR because they only have a few VR headsets, and you need to be supervised when you watch something in VR because you can tumble down because you're watching something wearing these head glasses, you're in a different reality, and you don't really know which way you're walking. You might be disoriented, so they need supervision. So there are very few headsets, and there are very few people who can experience that at a time. So I stood in line and saw that film. It was a horror film, very short, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And it was scary. And I mean, that 5 minutes, those 5 minutes were more scary than 2 hours of The Nun or Annabelle. So, what it did was like when you put on that headset, you're in that haunted mansion and you're afraid to look in front or in the back. You're afraid to move, right? You're scared to death, literally. So Yeah, so that was an experience. I mean, I've loved horror films since I was a kid, but this was horror film in the next level. So I was thinking that this might take over at some point. Like, we had a lot of threats to theatrical cinema before, but this seemed to be like a real threat. Okay, another brush with VR I had after that was they were exhibiting props from Game of Thrones in Hollywood Boulevard, and I just went in, and they have the throne, they have the Dothrakis, and they have everything. But there was this Castle Black. Inside of Castle Black, you could experience VR. You could be a crow in VR, and that had the biggest line out of the whole exhibition. It had a line so big that I only saw that when some big celebrity came to our campus. Like, people waited for 4 hours to see George Clooney or Zac Efron or something like that. So it was attracting as much attention as those huge celebrities were attracting. So that also triggered something in me that, okay, this has a very big future. And then when I came back to Bangladesh, I got to buy a VR headset at Jomuna Future Park, and it cost only 800 taka, which is less than $10 for Hannah interpreting. And so, yeah, so in US it would be around 200, but here, thanks to China, we have sets that are less than $10, and it was a very good headset. And the first thing I did was go to YouTube, search shark videos, VR shark videos, and then put on the headset, and I was swimming with sharks. And that was scary too. That was so real, I needed to get out of the water right away. So I was definitely convinced that this was the next thing in cinema. But I didn't know if it was relevant in the film festival circuit. But last year when I went to Berlinale Talents, there during an industry meet, I saw this woman who was one of the programmers for the virtual reality section in Berlinale. So I was surprised that Berlinale for Venice Film Festival. So I was surprised that Venice Film Festival had this section, and then later I found out that a lot of big festivals do have this section. So it is going to be big, even in the festival circuit. So since we're at a festival, let's see what it's about. So what is VR? Let's go to the basics. So you put on a headset, and then you are detached from your reality. You go into a new reality that the VR is showing you. It differs from augmented reality, which is you know where you are, but you have something else on top of it that's showing on your screen. And what we'll be discussing mostly here is CVR, that is cinematic virtual reality. So it sounds a bit like VCR, which was a big threat to cinemas back in the 90s, but this CVR, cinematic virtual reality, it incorporates media fidelity that is found in feature films. So what is media fidelity? It is the extent to which you have to interpret what you're watching in order to navigate or consume content. So films would be low fidelity, and things like games would be high fidelity media. So cinematic virtual reality incorporates media fidelity that is found in feature films. So, but right now, with the advancement of VR, the line between games and cinema is being blurred all the time. So, like, say if you were watching Bandersnatch in Netflix, you would have to choose where to go next. So yeah, it's sort of blurring the lines between these two realities. Okay, so before going to what a big industry it is, I wanted to talk about why we are talking about it in Bangladesh. The thing is, after the pandemic, this industry has seen an unforeseen growth, and we can, if we have skilled personnel, we could get a lot of the work that they will be outsourcing. That would be too expensive to produce, say, in America or somewhere. Like Hollywood right now outsources a lot of post-production to Canada and Germany, and it's really weird for us to think that Canada would be a cheaper option, right, for America. But yeah, so imagine what kind of bulk of work we could get if we had that skilled labor in this industry. So I think it's very relevant to Bangladesh, and there are VR studios here in Bangladesh who are mostly working for outsourced game. I mean, they're mainly taking the work that gaming companies are outsourcing. So I think we have very big opportunities that we shouldn't miss. So how big is this industry? So VR started mainly with video gaming companies back in the 1990s, and it had been around for 20 years prior when it was used for training, like in military training and flight simulations, medical training, and so on. But for consumer purposes, it mostly gained traction when it became associated with video games. Okay. And from 2020, the projected growth of this industry is 20%. That's a really high rate, and it's a lot higher than what it used to be before. And it's projected that it should be somewhere around $62 billion an industry by 2027. So it is a gigantic market. And how many people use VR? We can look at the number of headsets that are selling annually. Like it's 5.5 million units as of 2020. 5.5 million units of headsets are selling per year. And these headsets retail around 200 pounds, so which is very expensive. The whole industry of VR is very expensive, all the equipments and all the facilities you need to make or consume VR. And that's why maybe the growth has been a bit slower so far. Now, we've seen where Bangladesh stands here, and now we want to look into where women stand in this new reality. VR had, it feels like it was created by men for men, because most of the users were men, and it seems like they totally left us out during the R&D process, because the VR headsets cause women more nausea when they put it on for longer. And the developers will say it's biology, but I mean, we can't really, get rid of the suspicion that it might have been because they maybe wanted it to be a boys' club where they could just consume games and porn, which is where the money is in this industry. And so during R&D, they totally maximized the effort for the men users, for the male users, and did not really take into consideration the head shapes and such of women. That's why some headsets will have the lenses would be too far apart for us, and sometimes they would be too big, so it would fall off. So there have been complaints like that. So, on top of getting a dim and distorted image, we would get a migraine. Okay, so let's look at how the ratio and representation in the workforce differ from men to women. UK currently has like the biggest market share in VR. They have 9% of the global market share, and 19% of the workforce is women. whereas their overall representation of women in the workforce is about 50-50. But in VR, it's 19%. And that's even worse at the top, which is 5 to 15%. And the number of people who have experienced VR, like number of people who have ever put on a headset and seen VR movies is also very less, and it's very less for women compared to men. Like women, 16% of women in the US and UK have ever used VR, and that is 30% for men, so almost double when it comes to men. So now let's move on to how we see VR at festivals and how women are doing there. If you recall, in the beginning of the pandemic, when all the big festivals were being called off, there was this one festival that took place on YouTube that was called We Are One. All the big festivals like Cannes, Berlin, Venice, and Tribeca, and all these big festivals, they came together to have one big festival that was free and that was on YouTube. So there they had a VR section, and Venice Film Festival has a VR section, Tribeca has a VR section, New York Film Festival has a VR section, Sundance has one. So these are very big festivals, and they're putting importance on it. But maybe we haven't seen films that made waves in VR. That's why we probably can't name us a particular film that, oh yeah, we all have seen this, we can all relate to it, it's become a part of the pop culture. No, that hasn't happened yet, but it will happen because it's being patronized by these festivals. Looking at the women representation in Venice Film Festival, in the competitive section of VR, that has been taking place since 2016. In Tribeca Film Festival, 4 out of 5 award nominees in the virtual reality section were women. That's a huge representation. That was in 2019. In New York Film Festival, and 4 out of 11 of the virtual reality projects, they were created by women. Even on screen, the women characters were represented, like in Sundance Film Festival's VR exhibition, there were 13 out of 32 lead artists on the VR projects were women. It's still not 50-50, but it's not deplorable. Okay. So we're still exploring how VR can be used in films, and it's still growing, and consumers are still perceiving that it has a very good future in films. And if we look at how women are using VR, like I've already said that VR has been mostly used for gaming and sometimes for porn. But women are using it for some particular uses, like some VR films will make you acquainted with how you need to react when someone tries to harass you sexually. And then women are also exploring female pleasure through VR. And so these kind of uses the women who are in VR are trying to do for the women who are consuming VR. In conclusion, what I want to say is VR is not an imminent threat to theaters. VR is too expensive to make, and it has a long way to go. So we probably won't be seeing theaters full of people wearing headsets, consuming the films in VR in very near future. But it will thrive with or without women, with or without Bangladesh. And from the efforts of the film festivals, we can at least say that women will be represented equally, even if the headsets give us a migraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Riti, for your nice deliberation. And I'm sure our viewers will be benefited with your discussions and with your papers. Now I'd like to request Mr. Asif Rahman Saikat, who is actually a film society activist and ICT consultant. Yeah, Mr. Asif Rahman Saikat.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ritapa, for it's really an interesting topics to talk about, because virtual reality actually it's a reality that is actually engulfing the whole world, and especially for the corona situation and other ways in all countries, it is spreading all over the world, and even it is not now expensive also, not now that much expensive, because if you have 500 USD, you can buy a VR device. So only, yes, 200. So it's all money, it is already in reality, but it's that the price I'm talking about, it's about the headset I'm talking about, but the background investment that requires, it is huge. That's why maybe it's not spreaded that much, but when that part will be available, then VR will be a very big reality in Bangladesh also. Because when we are talking about the distance and other things, and when people are not, is reluctant to get outside of their home and other things, then VR is, it's not, I don't think so, it will be late. I think by 2021, 22, VR will be in Bangladesh in big places. Already, yeah, we have the programs in digital world, where our Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina inaugurated the programs for the VR devices. So it is already introduced to government also. Government knows about it, although there is no regulations yet implemented in Bangladesh. But in case of VR, we need to start thinking about it from now, if we want to know about its impact. And you know that this is a completely technical thing. And unfortunately, in Bangladesh or most of the world's part, technological sector dominated by male. So always there is a risk of male point of view in case of implementing VR kind of movies and other things. And it is happening because when you already invested a huge amount of money, then you already have the ethics to make your ethical things vulnerable. That thing can happen in case of this industry also, because VR things, now we already know that the VR movie is not more than 8 to 15 minutes long. But it's not about only its price thing, that why it should be 8 or 15 minutes long. It's also about VR things means you want to have the feelings instantly. You want everything instantly. That's why VR things come to this market. So when you think about having everything instantly, then you always have the idea to, okay, bring some lady at once, bring some fight shot. It's focused more on moments than the story thing in case of VR. So there is always a risk. And we already find in the movies and even in the porn industry also, VR is being used vastly. And it's a big industry already. And you already mentioned that in many festivals already VR movies are being shown, but it's not that much due to its cost. But in case of consumer point of view, it's not costly now. So already market is there, but all film directors are not capable of making VR related films. I recently talked with Facebook also because they also have a VR business for them. So they are very keen to have VR business, and they already have the platform because Facebook have a big amount of consumer all over the world. So everybody is now focusing on VR Because in future, actually, this virtual friendship will convert to VR friendship. Everybody, it is a very good reality. But I think Bangladesh and all over the world, it need to take the decision about what the regulations and other things we need to implement in the VR. It's high time now. I mean, we don't have enough time in our hand now for this kind of things. And another thing I want to say that the topic Sadia Khalid talked about, women in VR is another train living without us. Definitely. It's already. But we are already living women. But we are already male-dominated place. Because you don't have technical people also behind it, your market demanding it, and you have a huge investment to implement these VR movies. So every data is going against women. But in case of if you want to make VR films. So this is already, so we need to take this, we need more women technical peoples also in this industry, VR industry. If we want that women will get their rights through VR industry, then we need more people there. We need more VR related women filmmakers. But I think this world is short of that already. In case of technology, yes. But we also find in our universities that 90% of engineering university students are actually male. So already we are facing this kind of things, and this thing is not new. In case of movie, it is new, but in case of video games, already people are very used to it. Especially the younger generation already have the experience of doing the games in VR kind of things. So they are already prepared to be a good audience for VR market in future. So we already have in the whole world, we already have a good audience for that. And we have some movies also like Avatar, Surrogate, then Real Player One, last movie, the Real Player One, that movie was an excellent example of VR things. And in this movie, last time what happened, when they meet each other in reality, they become, oh, you are that guy. Because when they are fighting in the virtual reality, actually they can choose what they should look like. Even there are some part, there are some male, make him female in the virtual world. So when they meet them, this kind of thing, virtual reality kind of things actually will dominate without doubt. There's no, because it will make you close, because you will feel yourself as a part of the movie. Not only an audience, even there are some characters can be also built up there that you can be a part of that. Like you can think that there is a scene in the movie where any stadium, you are watching a game, cricket game or football game. You can be as an audience sit in this in the stadium, in the VR. So in VR, they give some rooms also for the audience to be a part of the film. So that's why VR will work. And there is some statistics already. I find that 13 films from is shown in the Sundance, Toronto, Tribeca films, the USA, South Korea, Nigeria, France, Canada, UK, Australia, Brazil. I mean, still few countries actually making it, but I think due to Corona situation and as we are already at the end of starting of 2021, I think by 2025. VR will be established. It is still in the entry phase. I should say it is still in the entry phase, but it will not take that much time. But technology is now the lifespan is only 3 years or 3.5 years now. So it will very quickly spread all over the world. There is no doubt about that. So in Bangladesh also, what we having only client kind of service. We don't have any production kind of thing in Bangladesh also. So we need to think about this VR kind of, it's a market. And a good thing about Bangladeshi filmmakers also, that if they can make films related to VR, they can show it any part of the world. And it's also not space dependent. That is the best thing about VR. So that's what I want to tell about VR in summary. That we should think about VR, we should think about the regulations about the VR, we should think about the making VR films quickly. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Asif Rahman Saikat. It was well spoken by you, and you have some data also, you have some information, and with this paper, yeah, that's great. Anyway, now I'd like to request Hannah Fisher from Toronto. Are you ready, Hannah?
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please, you can deliver your speech, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody. I have to tell you, it is in Toronto a freezing cold night. So I wish I could teleport myself to Bangladesh, where at least the weather is warm. Toronto is very, very cold tonight and dark and dreary. And you're very, very fortunate that you can have this festival, because right now we are in a lockdown on top of a lockdown on top of a lockdown. And they say that only 5 people can get together at one time, that you're only supposed to be with people from your own household. It's dreary, it's cold, and it's boring. So I'm delighted to have something to speak to you. I'm delighted to hear these sessions from Bangladesh. I really wish I was there. Anyhow, good morning, and I'm sorry to complain. I just was outside a few minutes ago, and really it's, once again, the Dhaka Festival is presenting a spectacular canvas of various programming, which I think is very, very strong. But I also very much appreciate the Women's Conference. This is the 7th year of the Women's Conference. I think that it really is a wonderful gift for women filmmakers, and those who follow women filmmakers, that there is a dedicated festival within a larger event that really honors the work of women, the innovation, the programs that they make. I think it's wonderful that you have this festival and that you do the women's program. And Ahmed, I congratulate you for that. And I wanted to further explore VR that was so ably presented by Sadia. I must say that in all of the years I've been working in film, which feels like centuries, I have not explored VR. I've never put a headset on. And thanks to you, you got me so interested. I spent hours researching. And now I think that the technology is so important, as you've both said, that is something that has to be explored, that we can't move away from it. It's here. It's like having a cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone in a very short period of time. Everybody will be having headsets, and you'll be doing this at home. So Ahmed, I think you should think about a VR program at the next Bangladesh festival. I know that you have to get the headsets, but I saw in Toronto where they had a little room, a small room with maybe only 5 headsets. And they had volunteers there, excuse me, they had volunteers to make sure that people didn't fall or bump into each other. And it was something that went on all day long. People booked a time. People had 20 minutes or half an hour in the room. Then they were all asked to go out, and the next group came in. So it can be done with a lot of, without too much aggravation. You might even be able to rent the headsets. I don't know. But I think, Ahmed, that's something that we should think about. I'd love to help. I'm fascinated by this now. So thank you, Sadia, for that. And I have a list of some of the festivals. You've mentioned some. You've mentioned, of course, Venice, Tribeca, Sundance, but there's Boulder, Colorado, CineQuest, South by Southwest, which is a huge festival, and they have a very large VR program. Atlanta Film Festival, a festival in Frankfurt, Germany, the Cannes Festival, Nashville, Sydney and Melbourne from Australia, which is interesting to me that both the major festivals have VR components. The Vancouver Virtual Festival, not the Vancouver International, but the Vancouver Virtual Festival, which is totally different. and TIFF, of course, Toronto, and there are others. There are others, but the list is growing every year. And I suspect that even with the pandemic, because people are so hungry for product, I think other festivals are going to expand on this. Oh, I didn't mention Berlin. The Berlinale, I'm sure, is going to have, even though they've cut down to 5 days in March for this year, I've heard that they will have a small VR component, which would be terrific. As you mentioned, there are issues with the hardware. The headsets are large, cumbersome. The ancillary elements also don't work very well for women. I've read about the body suits that they wear that have electronic cables in them. I'm not quite sure how they work, but they're all hooked up, and I hear that they're mostly too large. The gloves are too large. Everything is too large for women. But women are moving forward in this space. They're not being totally overtaken by their male colleagues, thankfully. It is clear that the storytelling modalities used in film production does not work for VR, and so groundbreaking and creative processes will have to be developed. As you said, Sadia, again, I don't want to repeat anything, so if I'm repeating, just somebody put your hand up and I'll stop. It was originally used in science fiction clips, but most primarily in games. And it's true that games have been using VR for many, many years. Other uses included real estate sales, education, military training. More recently, I read that VR has been used in the training of pilots and surgeons. Surgeons would see an operation on virtual reality, and it's a way of training young doctors. Women have created new experiences, such as the instances of sexual assault, as you mentioned as well, and the aftermath by putting the viewer in two positions. The viewer in a VR that dealt with sexual assault would have the viewer first be the victim and then be the perpetrator, which was a way of changing behavior and teaching people that this is not acceptable. Women also had focused, or there were several programs made on police brutality, rapes of women, and how the police did not pay attention to women, arts events, culture, and a myriad of educational topics. Unfortunately, the distribution channels have not really been solidified. And so far, it's primarily games made by men that get distributed. So basically, women are making things with a very, very small audience. And I think that must be very, very distressing. I've read of a couple of women that have been the leaders of this, who said that they're so distressed, they work so hard making these, and there are very few people that see them because everybody's looking at games. And also women have the further difficulty of accessing the right networks, the funding support, and the selection committees. However, women are claiming their own space, and there are some very strong women-led VR companies throughout the US and Europe that people can investigate. One such company is called Equal Reality. I don't know if any of you have heard about that. It's co-founded by women. It creates scenarios within the everyday workplace presented through the female lens, which deals with instances of sexual harassment, bullying, pay inequities, racism, and the unconscious bias towards women in the workforce. Equal Reality is a company dedicated to work that produces empathy through the immersive experience. And there are other labs that I found, other companies that are mostly female-led or co-founded. And I think it'd be really interesting to look at these because there are places where women can go for training and can work. One is called Hyphen Labs for female art, technical and design collections. Another one is called Immersive Rehab, and this was designed by a woman who was in a very bad accident and was almost paralyzed. And she designed a program for physiotherapy because the physiotherapy on this program helped her deal with what she was trying to cope with. Another one is called Virtual Reality Girls. And a large one in Europe is called Women in Immersive Technology Europe Group. So these all have mostly women in the company and on staff. The immersive technology poses the question to the participant, where do you want to go, and not what do you want to watch? Immersive VR creates intense emotional reactions, and empathy is very often the result. In traditional storytelling, a narrative structure is presented to a viewer or a reader. In VR, the viewer is no longer the passive witness. In the future, the viewer will be the lead character. The story will happen to you as the viewer. So as traditional roles and steps for traditional storytelling are changed, artists find themselves with a remarkable creative opportunity, no longer bound by the rectangular frame of traditional media, meaning they're no longer bound by the frame of a film. Artists now use both 360-degree video and VR. Videos are made using 360-degree cameras, while immersive computer-generated VU worlds are developed in game engines. Viewers can become protagonists who have the ability to interact with people and objects inside the virtual world. Abigail Posner, the head of strategic planning at Google Zoo, said, immersive storytelling shatters all our traditional storytelling structure and experience and refers to it as story living, because we're living in the immersive reality of VR. When you're right in something, you're living in it. What is developing very quickly is immersive journalism and storytelling, now known as advocacy journalism. There were two students at the California Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism who created a 360-degree video as a way of exploring how the medium can create empathy. They created a film called The Wait, and this explored the refugee crisis in Europe, particularly in Germany, by focusing on the lives and extreme challenges that refugees must endure while waiting to be granted asylum. The students interviewed 9 people in 5 German cities, taking viewers into tiny, cramped apartments and out into the cold German winter days as refugees stood in line for resources, meaning food, medicine, warm clothing, warm bedding, etc. The students then showed this film at the economic conference in Davos, which is happening in, I believe, in April. And the results were surprising. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Government officials reacted very favorably and with great emotion as they experienced firsthand the difficulties experienced by new families. VR allowed government officials to walk a mile in somebody's shoes, in quotation marks, to learn from the pain of others, and many discussed further ways of immediately offering support. This is only one example of many stories and situations that involve the development of empathy as a reaction to VR. There's some key locations for the study of VR storytelling that I thought I would mention because I thought it was really interesting. Johns Hopkins University recently opened a new immersive storytelling and emerging technologies concentration in its film and media arts program. At the New School in New York City, Students in the Parsons School of Design can minor in immersive storytelling. Last fall, the new school opened what they call X Reality Center, a research center to advance the study and design of emerging technologies in VR, augmented and mixed realities. The School of Media Studies in New York City offers courses which explores all new media narratives, sensory experiences, and developments in transmedia. The Mobile Reality Lab is funded by the Florida International University School of Communication and Journalism. Students are encouraged to explore environmental VR storytelling, especially for communities that are faced with the rise in sea levels, which is a critical issue in South Florida. So VR is being used in a very educational manner in so many places. Immersive live theater, Shakespeare's Hamlet, is now being adapted in virtual reality at the New York City University Tandon School of Engineering. Here the audience can be live on site or participate remotely through headsets. Motion capture is used to track the actor's motions and movement. The audience does not watch passively, therefore, but interacts in the virtual space, which results in intense visceral reactions and understanding of Hamlet, the character. A VR headset is only a platform and currently not a mature medium. With immersive storytelling, there are no roadmaps or tools or templates for the stories artists wish to tell. As we move into a new area of immersive storytelling, a wide group of disciplines will be impacted, and the new projects will demonstrate the need to bring together interdisciplinary experts to work together, such as subject experts, writers, engineers, artists, and media specialists. We are on the cusp of fascinating new developments, and there is simply no turning back. Virtual reality and the benefits it provides are here to stay. It behooves us to learn as much as we possibly can by embracing the new developments and discover how they can improve our lives on a global, a national, a state, a city, and a very, very personal level. Thank you, and thank you, Sadia, for introducing me to the world of VR. Thank you so much.
Excellent, Hannah Fisher. Thank you very much for your spoken, informative speech. Thank you, dear. Have some coffee. And I'm sure
thank you.
With this,
it's too late at night, Ahmed. It's too late at night for coffee.
All right, but I will feel a little bit warm. Anyway,
yes.
Warm greetings from Dhaka, and I'm sure we'll be seeing very soon. I mean, next year in Dhaka Festival, it will be our 20th edition, and Rainbow Film Society is going to be celebrate its 45 years, and festival is going to be celebrate its 30 years. And also, Bangladesh is going to have 50 years. So there's a lot of things is waiting for the next year festival. Let's hope for the best. We'll see again, and we'll be meeting in Dhaka, and we'll have the conference face to face, of course. And of course, it will be live also, because for the what we got with this pandemic, they have give us some new ideas, new exposure, new way of storytelling theory. Also, we have the platform, I mean, online, the people are watching some films via online, virtually and physically, both we are doing. Anyway, now it's a new generation of Rainbow Film Society. I would like to request Bani Somaddar, whatever you feel, you can express yourself in Bengali or in English, whatever you feel. You can have some words, then I'm sure we'll hear something.
Thank you, Shubhu bhai. Hello, good morning, Hannah.
Good morning.
Oh. Oh, good evening. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Hana. Okay, I'm not good in English, so I'm trying in Bangla. Okay. Okay. Virtual reality. সত্যি কি এটা রিয়েলিটি? আসলে আমার কাছে ভার্চুয়ালি ব্যাপারটা মনে হয় যে একটা ইলিউশন, বাট এটা ছাড়া এখন আমরা একদম চলতেই পারছি না। মানে এটা ছাড়া আমাদের এখন জীবন, আর যেটা গ্রাফ দেখলাম যে ডে বাই ডে এখন 2024-এ 72.8 হয়ে যাবে। সো মানে একদম এটা ছাড়া চলবেই না, জীবন চলতে হবে। তারপরে ভার্চুয়াল যে ফিল্মগুলোর যে কথাটা বলা হলো, যে শর্ট যে ফিল্ম, যেটা হয় আমি দেখেছি, আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স হয়েছে। তো কি হয়, ওই ফর জাস্ট মোমেন্ট, যেটা বললো আসিফ বললো না, জাস্ট ওই অল্প সময়ের জন্য যে এক্সাইটমেন্ট, হ্যাঁ জাস্ট অল্প সময়ের জন্য যে এক্সাইটমেন্টটা তৈরি হয়, অল্প সময়ের মধ্যে সেটা চলে যায়। সেটা আসলে অনেকক্ষণের জন্য, যেটা আমাদের অনেক দিনের জন্য যেটা ইম্প্যাক্ট পড়ে যে মনে, সেটা আসলে পড়ে না। আমার যে ধারণা, আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স থেকে বলছি। কিন্তু যেটা হচ্ছে, এইটা নিয়ে তো আমাদের চলতে হবে। এইটা কারণ ডে বাই ডে আমাদের এগিয়ে যেতে হবে। আর মেয়েরা এগিয়ে মানে পিছিয়ে পড়ছে। মেয়েরা এইসবে ভার্চুয়াল যে বিজনেসের ক্ষেত্রে কথা বললো, যে ওর সাথে স্টুডেন্ট ছিল, ওরা 90% ছেলে ছিল, ফিমেল ছিল 10% ক্লাসমেট ছিল। তো যেটা আমাদেরকে, যেটা ফ্যামিলি থেকে, আমি বাংলাদেশে মানে পরিপ্রেক্ষিতে বলি, কারণ আমার তো আর অন্য কান্ট্রি আমার কোনো এক্সপিরিয়েন্স নেই। আমাদের ছোটবেলা থেকে কি করা হয়, আমাদের একটা মেয়েকে ছোটবেলা ঘরে যেটা হয়, হ্যাঁ তো মেয়ে হিসেবে এক রকমের খেলনা ধরিয়ে দেওয়া হয়, ছেলে হিসেবে এক রকমের খেলনা ধরিয়ে দেওয়া হয়। তো আমি কি, আমার মাইন্ড তখন অন্যরকমই কাজ করবে। যে আর তখন বিজনেসম্যানরা কি করে, বিজনেসম্যানরা তো বোঝে যে কোথায় কিটা ক্লিক করবে, তো ওরা তো সেই জিনিস সেইভাবেই তৈরি করবে। তো আমাদের আসলে ফ্যামিলি থেকে আমাদের উচিত যে ফার্স্ট কিভাবে আমরা, আমার একটা ছেলে আর মেয়েকে আমি কিভাবে কোন দৃষ্টিভঙ্গিতে দেখব। মানে আমার ফ্যামিলি, সে বাবা মা সবাইকে, যখন একটা মা অনেক ইম্পর্টেন্ট, একটা মা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, মাটা যদি একটা ঠিকঠাক মতো করে বড় হয়, মানুষ হিসেবে বড় হয়, তখন আসলে এখানে ছেলে মেয়ে কোনো ভেরি করবে না। তখন বিজনেসম্যানরাও বুঝতে পারবে যে এখানে আমার মেয়েদের জন্য খেলনা বানাবো না ফিমেলদের জন্য, মানে তো তখন আসলে এই ব্যাপারটা অন্যরকম ভাবে তখন। এখন তো যে ভার্চুয়াল যে রিয়েলিটি, যেটা আসলে গেম থেকে তো শুরু হয়েছিল, দেন ফিল্মে চলে গিয়েছে। তো এরকম ভাবে আসলে আমাদের ফ্যামিলি থেকে স্টার্ট করতে হবে, দেন বিজনেস, ওরাও বুঝে যাবে বিজনেসম্যানরা যে আসলে কেমন কিভাবে আগাতে হবে। আশা করি তখন মানে ফ্যামিলি থেকে স্টার্ট করলে তখন আমাদের সবকিছুই আগাবে। আর মেয়েদের চিন্তা শক্তির জায়গাটা ভালো, অনেকই ভালো। এখানে ছেলে আর মেয়ে আমি কোনো আলাদা করছি না, কারণ কি, এই যে আমি এখন এখানে দাঁড়িয়ে আছি, এটা পুরাটা একজন আমাদের ভাইয়ের অবদান। তো এখানে ছেলে মেয়ে কোনো ব্যাপার না, ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে আমাদের মানসিকতা। ইভেন সৃষ্টিশীলতাও হচ্ছে মানুষ টু মানুষ ভেরি করে। একজন ছেলের মধ্যে এক রকমের সৃষ্টিশীলতা থাকতে পারে, যেমন রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর, আর কেউ রবীন্দ্রনাথ ঠাকুর হতে পারবে না। হ্যাঁ, তো একটা মেয়ের মধ্যে সৃষ্টিশীলতা, এটা প্রচুর। এখানে ছেলে মেয়ে ব্যাপার না, প্রতিটা মানুষ মানুষে ভেরি করে। তো আমি এইটুকুই বলবো। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Excellent, Bani. I think the way of thinking, of course, I mean, it will be not same. Everybody has their own thoughts or own way of expressions and everything. Anyway, the new generation, as I told you before, I would like to invite Samara Jannati Jamal to say a few words. What she thought about.
Hello, Hannah, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm so sorry you're having to stay awake.
Oh, hello.
So it wouldn't be at night time for you. But because it's cold during winter, we prefer to get snuggled in the bed as soon as possible.
It is so cold, all you want to do is pull the covers over your head.
Yes, especially if you have had 10 hours of sleep, you still want more during winter. I just read what you've written. It's actually a great insight from your side. First time when I saw what VR is was when I saw that there was this army officer who was away from his home for a very long time. Maybe the association he worked under, it was probably, of course, army officers are from government, right? But there was this project he was under, and he was away from home for a very long time from his family. So what they did for him was, because he was a very good officer, they brought him a VR so he could see his family through the VR. And he saw his 5-year-old daughter after 5 years. He saw her as a baby when he left, and he saw her after 5 years for the first time, and he was in tears. That was the first time I saw that this VR thing, this new technology thing is really great. But for me personally, I think technology should not be given so much priority. It should always be 50-50. Because I was just discussing with her in the audience that I think VR is great, but I wouldn't personally want it to be so widespread. Yes, I understand that men are getting to experience it more. I watch PewDiePie all the time in YouTube. I watch him playing games. I watch most of the games are played by men in YouTube, I would say, but there are some women who are also starting to play more and more great games, but maybe it's not that common right now in Bangladesh, especially. I do see USA, people from the USA, they are also starting to play games. But if I want to talk about VR being also more flexible for women to use, maybe those who are interested to experience the VR, whoever it is, even if it's about affordability, if someone wants it, they will get it. Even if it's a woman or even if it's a man. And men don't think about spending money that much as much as women do. They keep calculating, thinking, should I spend so much behind this? Should I? Because what we do is this would be wrong. Yes, women do spend a good amount of money when it's makeup, right? We buy the best expensive things, right? We do think about expensive things, but we are more calculative than men. I would say it's not. Of course, it's not about men and women, but generally we are more responsible. I would say. Maybe men are too, but I would say we are more responsible in that case. So, but still, I wouldn't want VR to be so widespread, because that way we would not leave our homes anymore. That way we would want to be in VR and we would be like, okay, it's Eid, let's stay home, let's be on VRs and let's celebrate like that. Slowly it's going to go to that direction, right? So VR should be like occasional thing. Yes, there's VR festival, let's go on and do that. I wouldn't want a VR in my home personally, because that way I would stop coming out of my room even more. Because now Wi-Fi is such a thing we are dependent on. Whenever the electricity is gone, I'm like coming out of the room, looking at my dad. Okay, so is he getting ready for office? Mom, what are you doing? That's what's happening right now. I'm not happy about it. I myself am guilty of it, but that's what's happening. So if VR is big, if it gets more affordable, many people are going to start buying it. And it's a very interesting thing. They're going to start purchasing it at home and everybody is going to be busy with that. Like, I sometimes advise my gamer friend. He buys CDs worth 7,000, 8,000. It's a one-time game, right? He's not going to play it for the rest of his life. And I'm like, why are you spending so much behind this one game? I mean, that's insane. Why would you play that? play some, like you are going to get that in torrent, right? Just download it from the torrent. Why are you buying 7,000 word CD? I mean, there are ways you can download those things. But I think I don't need a VR personally, because when I was a child, I went to Novo Theater and I loved it. 3D is fine. And that was one-time experience, and I'm still thinking about it till date. I was a little kid back then. So that was that good memory in my head. If I keep on watching that, it will not be special for me anymore. And it will not be exotic. I would prefer that to be something that is, we watch it sometimes. Let's go and let's go visit the VR theater. Let's do it for once. That's it. I don't think it should be, it's fine. Like, it's just my opinion, because I don't want to be too dependent on technology, because that's how we are losing contact. That's how we are losing. And it's not just for women, it's for men too, because male gamers tend to never leave their room or even take showers because they're so crazy about gaming. So I think it should be neutral and it should be limited, 50-50. So that's just my opinion. But you've written really well, and it was very informative. Definitely. Thank you.
My little kid has grown up, I think. Anyway, now it's a time to wrap up the whole things. Professor Kishwar, Kamal, I would like to request you to give your presiding speech. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for this enlightening paper on VR. Frankly speaking, this was kind of a new exposure for me, though maybe I have seen a few stuff which never attracted me. But it's a bit relieving for me in the sense that whenever I got exposed to that sort of stuff, watching films or other things, I always had this kind of motion sickness and nauseous feeling. And all these years, all this time, I thought there was some physical disability on my part. But now that I read this, although I wouldn't definitely want this to happen to women only. Why not men? Why don't they get motion sickness? Okay, pregnancy sickness is understandable. But men should get motion sickness. They should get nausea as well, as an empathy towards women. Anyway, no, I was just joking. Okay, no ill feeling meant. Ahmad, don't be upset about it, because I'm all for people. Though I'm an old weirdo woman, old generation, but I don't believe in this kind of distinction and differentiation between girls and boys, because I also faced problems growing up. Anyway, thank you very much, Sadia, for this eye-opening, very nice paper that you have written. And I would like to thank the speakers, Asif, Saikat, Hannah, especially Hannah Fisher. I mean, the one who's taking the brunt of it all. Sorry, Hannah, about it. We are all empathic and sympathetic and loving and caring towards you. I wish this...
Thank you.
Yeah, I wish this segment would help you forget the coldness and other stuff.
It
well,
does.
Part of life. That's part of. I was in Toronto 2 years back. It was very, very cold, and it was the lawyers' seminar. I had joined my husband, and I was keeping away from them, for obvious reasons. Anyway, thank you very much for all your observations. Now, when I first started reading this paper, the first caption caught my eye: "Women in VR, is another train leaving without us?" I was a bit skeptical. At the same time, I was a bit worried. What are we heading towards? But the final lines is beautiful and so positive and optimistic. Sadia, it says, women can achieve equality here. even if the headsets are too large for us to focus. So there you are, guys. It doesn't stop women from going ahead. And soon I think we'll be producers. We'll have women producers starting off from this stage. It could be Sadia, it could be Bani or anybody else, even our Asif or anybody else, Ahmad. So I just had a few little observations from my very, what would I say? I'm not good at it. And it's like, I just wanted to ask Sadia something. The Dhaka 800 headset, which you bought in Bangladesh. Wow, that's wonderful. But how was the effect? How was the effect? Is it suitable for female users or the same? Chinese, they should have smaller ones. Yeah, the headsets. You can come here.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a bit too big for me, a bit too big.
No.
But the videos are also very small, right? You can only watch it for 5 minutes or something. And I was watching really scary videos, so I couldn't stay in for more than 2 minutes or so. So that didn't create nausea, but it was very big and it did try to fall off. So you have to like adjust it with the ribbons at the back.
So was it 3D or 2D you were watching using the headsets?
Oh, it's 360.
360.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I got the answer. So the Chinese are also not gender balanced. Well, anyway, no, but we do have some very positive things, as Hannah has also mentioned, like we have the platforms used, I mean, to be used by women, and obviously for for the males as well, because in the sense, you know, it provides some life skill support. And it does give you a strong support, and also for the men to be cautious about the surroundings, the families, friends, children, and everyone. So it kind of encompasses all human beings. Samara, I mean, a young generation, I was a bit worried that Samara would say, oh, yay, we've got this, we are lovely, so we'll head for it. No, so you see, younger generations are not to be underestimated. Yeah, she's cautious. She said it should be 50-50 tech, 50-50 VR, and 50% actuality, right? I wouldn't say anything because, you know, we are the departing generation, and I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but come what may, this is definitely going to open our arenas all over the world and bring us closer to reality and virtuality and everything else. And as usual, I always would like to wrap up my words with Tagore, and this is, the highest education is that which does not merely give us information, but makes our life in harmony with all existence. That side of our existence whose direction is towards the infinite seeks not wealth, but freedom and joy. Rabindranath Tagore. Thank you all very much. And Hannah, thank you for your patience. We are sorry about the time zones, but as you see.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Thank you all. Thank you, my dear. Thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, all the speakers and our guests. Thank you very much.
Okay, now 20 minutes tea break. The next session will be start at 11 o'clock, 11:30. So, no, 11? Next session is 11?
Does anybody have any question? Any questions from the audience?
Or we can talk during the break.
Yeah, during the break, maybe you can talk because,
maybe.
yeah, all right. So welcome, I would like to welcome you the next session. Please stay connected. See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Hannah. Bye-bye.
Because you are
Bye-bye.
here, he would have come up with the question. I think he left.